Blog Talk Radio.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchipreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. We're meeting with Chris Tomaso, Chief Marketing Officer of First Watch Franchise Opportunity. Having started simply as a fresh idea, First Watch was founded in 1983 in Pacific Grove, California, on the simple concept of putting customers first. And that's coming up in segment 2 of Franchise Interviews.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Who's helping build America one small business at a time? Franchise Inc., a free consulting service.
For years, Franchise Inc., a national company, has been helping people franchise their business concept and help folks like you own a franchise.
With over 2,500 franchise systems out there, it can be awfully confusing. Don't take chances with your future. At Franchise Inc., we've done the homework for you. We can help match your interests and background with the franchise that's right for you. And we only work with proven franchise systems with a solid reputation and track record of success.
The consultants at Franchise Inc. can help you with your short and long-term wealth strategy.
Give us a call today and we'll send you free our best-selling book, Solving the Puzzle of Owning a Franchise.
Remember, it's not just owning a franchise, but finding the right one for you. Call us at 800-961-0420 for a quick consultation to discuss what's important to you, your business, and your future.
The service is free. The book is free. What do you have to lose? Find the business that's right for you.
Call Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420. That's Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchipreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. Today's show is being brought to you by Franchise Times Magazine. Franchise Times is the only publication that targets both franchisors and multi-unit franchisees, and it's a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise. How you doing today, Don? Welcome back.
I'm doing fine, Marty. How are you this week?
Good. Another busy week, writing papers and all that other stuff for my doctorate degree, so
right.
Yeah, weeks go by fast, that's for sure, and I know they go by fast for you too as well. So
There's never enough time.
There's never enough time, So, it looks like your Yankees are gonna be in the World Series this year, huh? Possibly.
Yeah, I guess possibly they win tonight, so we'll see. Could be pretty exciting.
Yeah, it should be interesting, So
yeah.
Congratulations on that, So
Well, it hasn't happened yet, so.
It hasn't happened yet, but I think it's gonna happen. My dad's a big fan. He's a diehard Yankee fan. So.
Wow, excellent. I'm sure he's happy watching these games.
Oh, absolutely. Our last showdown, we met with Tony Lamb, who is the founder of Kona Ice, and Kona Ice provides a bright, welcoming, and professional alternative to the typical ice cream truck. It's a really cool concept, wasn't it?
Yeah, and a nice story. Interesting.
Yeah.
He's just a guy who just wasn't happy with some of the, ice cream trucks or ice trucks coming around his neighborhood or where he was, and decided to do it bigger and better and put it together. He even has a patent on the equipment to use to make the treats.
Right.
And I thought that was really impressive. He's donated about $250,000 to local organizations, charities, which is nice to see.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It's one of those things that, I don't know if you were thinking as he was telling the story, but I said, damn, why didn't I think of that?
Right.
I mean, it's just, it's a pretty simple concept if you think about it, definitely
right.
franchisable. And it's a type of franchise I think that could probably be almost for anyone. You and I have had the great debate, of young franchisees. Last year I had the privilege of speaking in Chicago to this organization called the Collegiate Entrepreneurs, and it was like 1,500 people that attended the event, and a lot of them were asking me about franchising, but this was a younger group, I mean, some of these, students are like 20 years old and interested in buying a franchise, and I was thinking that this kind of franchise would probably be ideal for a younger, or even an older.
Well, I think Tony mentioned, I believe it was maybe somebody in Texas or Florida, but he had a younger franchisee that was having some pretty good success.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like 22, 23 years old, and he owns like 23 trucks already, I mean, wow. That says a lot, and... Well,
I think the wave, of entrepreneurship, younger people, especially with what are still currently going through with the recession and high unemployment, and I guess younger people thinking, hey, is my best avenue is to go work for a company, but I might get laid off. Maybe they're seeing what their father's going through, or uncle,
an excellent point.
Or relative, and they think, well, do I want to do that? Put 10, 20 years in with a company? So maybe they're thinking about having a small business on the side, maybe, or just start right out owning a business, and then they're hearing all the advantages of franchising.
That's an interesting point. I didn't think about that. But yeah, I mean, we saw our parents, typically work for the same company. I know your dad was. Pretty much working for the same company for many years. So was my father, and I said, wow, corporate America, that's the way to go. And, you're right, these younger kids, they see their parents and they're probably, burned that their parents got burned by corporate America.
Yeah.
And they say, you know what, I'm not going to follow in the same footsteps. I'm not going to work for a company for 20 years to get my pink slip, So that's an interesting point, We'll have to, keep our eye on that trend and see, it does seem like there's a lot more younger audience.
Should be interesting, Marty, as the economy does eventually turn and things get better, because franchising Fierce has had such growth year to year.
Right.
And 2009 was the first year it declined a little bit, but still much lower than a lot of other industries. But I think we have a chance to see a pretty big boom in franchising. As things turn around, people are confident in the economy, and things are better. You probably have more people jumping on, and so it should be a pretty interesting next 5 years for franchising in general.
Yeah, this will be a historic year to remember in franchising, because there were a lot of changes this year. I think the pool of prospective franchisees certainly got bigger. We saw a new type of franchisee, coming into existence,
Maybe more overall solid type of franchisee with the experience they have, and we've seen a lot of variety and creativeness with franchisors offering financing or doing different things to try to still maintain their growth.
Thinking outside the box, we saw a lot of that going on this year, to remain competitive,
Yeah.
So it was definitely an interesting year, and we'll talk about that. Our last show of 2009, we'll sum up what we thought the year bought to franchising, so it was very interesting.
That could maybe be a good show in general, maybe having some of the experts we've either had on or some we haven't had on, just to talk about this previous year and what they're predicting for next year.
Yeah, that would be a cool show. That'll be like our New Year's Eve show, we'll call it, so
right.
Interesting. Here's what we got going on next week, Don. Wednesday, October 28th. This might be new for you. Express Medical Transporters franchise opportunity meets with franchise interviews. It says Express Medical Transporters was founded in 1995 by President, CEO Bernard Squitieri. With more than 25 years of experience in the transportation industry, Mr. Squitieri started the company with one vehicle, and today Express Medical Transporters is the largest for-profit, non-emergency transportation company in the state of Missouri. By completing thousands of trips per year with more than 150 vehicles on the road, Express Medical Transporters is able to provide the very best in price, quality, and efficiency when it comes to transportation anywhere in Missouri. It's kind of an interesting concept, isn't it? Something different.
Yeah.
That we haven't really spoken about. Once again, non-medical. We've seen a lot going on in the non-medical senior care industry. This is something different. This might be a new industry.
Right, excited about that. Today we have Chris Tomaso from First Watch Franchise coming up on the show shortly. So
I'm afraid I'm going to get hungry. I was going to have something to eat before the show because I saw the website. I said, these shows always kill me because I get so hungry after the show.
Right.
So, but looking forward. This is a really neat concept, so I'm excited to have Chris on the show today. So looking forward to that. And I know you've been busy all week scanning the globe for current events. And
definitely, Marty.
Franchising,
First, the Franchise and Business Opportunities Expo. I have a couple shows coming up this weekend in Las Vegas, and then in Chicago, November 7th and 8th.
Wow.
People want information, go to usfranchiseexpos.com. Get information on those shows and times and everything. Here's something, Marty, the Boston Globe. Buying into a franchise can take uncertainty out of getting started by Elizabeth Cooney. Starts out, Trish Harrington brought her 6-year-old daughter to a birthday party at Snippets in North Attleboro and fell in love with the children's hair salon, a CPA and a controller at a Rhode Island financing company. She went home, did her homework, and 4 months later signed an agreement with the Natick-based franchise to develop 3 new locations.
Wow.
That was pretty quick.
Stories,
huh?
Yeah, we've seen those stories before too. I mean, I guess she was, sold right away. She said, "Wow, this makes sense," and we've seen that. I mean, a word of caution. It does seem like she made the decision kind of quickly. I mean, we're usually saying look like 6 months to 8 months, but you know what? I mean, maybe she did her due diligence right away, and hopefully she called enough franchisees and decided that this was something that she truly wanted to do. But
she's a CPA and maybe liked what she saw with the financials.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot. When CPAs, they probably go right to the financial statements. They go to the balance sheet and the income statement, and they say, wow.
Right. Yeah.
I want.
She saw the potential. She's thinking multiple stores. For Gina and Greg Monastiero, it was a 5-year journey of investigation and negotiation on the road to opening the region's first Sonic drive-in restaurant, which has obliterated company sales records since it opened in late August.
That was Sonic? Who was that, Sonic?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sonic
okay, because we had one open near us about 6 months ago, and I got to tell you, the day that they opened, cars were lined out actually on the highway to get into it.
Right.
I've never seen anything like it. So
the same here in New Jersey. A few have opened here in central part of the state.
There
They're doing
too.
well.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
It goes on. Mirhan Atufi translated the customer service and management skills he learned working for Hilton Hotels into running a revived Subway restaurant near Northeastern that he hopes is the first of many. Not only has the recession not stopped these entrepreneurs, but in some cases it helped them. Historically, the number of new businesses spikes during economic downturns, in part because people who lose their jobs are motivated to control their own destinies, small business specialists say. But taking the plunge into franchising by starting up new ventures based on solid brands, proven track records, and corporate support can take some of the uncertainty out of the equation. When you have increasing unemployment, a lot of people looking at starting a business as a way to provide for themselves, says Robert Nelson, District Director for Massachusetts in the Small Business Administration. Franchising is one aspect of entrepreneurship that people can try to help get their business off the ground. It's too early to say how many new franchises are open this year, but the IFA predicted a 1% drop. We've talked about that a few times with the way the economy is. It says franchises are attractive for some entrepreneurs because they can offer opportunities for those with an appetite for some risk, just not as much as starting an entirely new venture. New owners and industry observers say, depending on the type of business, franchises offer different levels of training and support. According to the IFA, prospective franchisees should research a company's financial health, ask if it helps them find and develop a location, and determine how to get inventory and supplies once they're up and running. Buying a good franchise means you get an operations manual that leads you through how to unlock the door in the morning and how to lock it back up at the end of the day, says Steve Duman, president of the New England Franchise Association. Yeah. Franchisees can also draw on peers for help, says Les Winograd, a spokesman for Subways. They join a team of like-minded individuals, he says. They are able to learn from a group of previously established franchisees from the same system. Tufi, that the franchisee I mentioned before, reasoned that his chances for success were greater than if he had started from scratch. The reason I opened the franchise was I couldn't afford losing my first business, who got a loan from his family that he used to buy an existing franchise in Boston, which opened recently. I wanted to minimize the risk as much as I can.
That's an interesting point. You know, I mean, when you do look at the stats, you know, we've mentioned this many, many times on the show, non-franchise versus franchise. I mean, statistically speaking, you are going to fail. You know, I mean, if you look at the laws of statistics, I mean, it will tell you that, you know, in 5 years or 2 years or 10 years, what your chances of success are, and flip that around and say, okay, we'll go the franchise route. Now look at those stats, you know, and then we've seen different numbers, but, you know, you can confidently say that, you know, the statistics are higher as far as success rates go, and for a lot of different reasons. But, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Especially when you're borrowing money from your family, you know what I mean? You say, you know, I don't want to blow this, you know? I mean, I want to make sure that this thing works.
Right, so I guess he was playing the percentages.
Right.
Going the franchise route, he thought much lower chance of failure, so looks like it's working out for them.
Good.
Here's something through current.com. Hands-On Hartford enters franchising agreement with Huntington Learning Center. I'm familiar with Huntington a little bit by Joanne Morrison. Hands-On Hartford, a Hartford-based volunteer action center and social services agency, has entered into a 5-year agreement with Huntington Learning Centers, Inc., a national provider of supplemental education services, to provide tutoring services for students at Sanchez and Benson's Elementary School in Hartford. Under this agreement, students who qualify under the federal No Child Left Behind Act will receive free tutoring during the school year. The program is expected to serve hundreds of students and result in 1 new full-time position and 15 part-time positions the first year. This unique public-private partnership is in line with our ongoing commitment to be forward-thinking and embrace national trends and issues, says Doug Sudell, CEO for Hands-On Hartford. This will complement the full range of services we are currently providing students and families in 2 Hartford schools. Hands-On Hartford is proud to operate the first nonprofit-owned franchise in the Huntington Learning Center franchise community, added Sudell. Social franchising, a concept in which a nonprofit organization engages a national franchise to further its mission and generate additional funding, is an extremely cutting-edge trend. I thought this would get you all revved up with your, with your education background.
There you go.
And this is pretty interesting. A non-profit-owned franchise.
That is interesting, yeah, absolutely. And
they're calling it social franchising.
Really? Wow, I haven't heard that term. Have you heard that term yet? Or
no.
Interesting. I guess with all the social media and stuff like that, you know, that people are using that word, you know, so it's...
This agreement is exciting because it will enhance the academic experience of children and families in Hartford, says Alan Hillman, partner with New Haven-based law firm Kern & Hillman. It's been a distinct pleasure to contribute to this process. Huntington's mission is to provide every child with the best education possible, said Dr. Raymond Huntington, co-founder of the company. So I'm sure we'll start to see some of that stuff. Here, Marty, USA Today, but do you want to make a comment on that last article?
Well, I think it's interesting. I mean, it's you know, we've seen a lot of franchisers, I mean, really giving back, haven't we? I mean, even look at last week's story, you know. I mean, despite, you know, everyone complaining about the recession and everything like that, I got to tell you, you know, I mean, I've never seen so much giving, you know, in my, 10 years of it being in franchising. I don't know.
Well, we just mentioned Kona Ice. They've given a couple $100,000. Here's Huntington doing.
It's incredible. I mean, it's that's America. I mean, it's a very giving country, and that's why it's the best country in the world. Right.
And we've read other articles on the show about franchising companies donating, so it's good to see. It looks like, Marty, Boston Market's looking to make a comeback. This is USA Today. Lane Cardwell has one of the toughest jobs in the restaurant business, trying to revive Boston Market. The once high-flying rotisserie chicken chain and pioneer in home meal replacement continues to shrink 9 years after emerging from Chapter 11 reorganization and 7 years of ownership by McDonald's.
Wow.
Along with other recession-weary chains, its same-store sales have tumbled double digits in the past year, but Cardwell, a former Brinker International senior executive, which Brinker's part of Chili's and also Maggiano's, and former CEO of Eats' Market and Bakery, came out of retirement in June because he believes he can make Boston Market fly again. And he talks about, just improving the image. And when Boston Market first came out as Boston Chicken, it was really incredible. It was a new concept. It's one of my favorite chains, personally.
Well, here's some franchise trivia for you. Do you know who started Boston Market?
George Native.
There you go. Can't get anything by you. And we had George on the show, but I remember when he told that, wonderful story. It's a fantastic story. I didn't know you were such a big fan of him either.
Yeah, I mean, I just, we've all been going to the McDonald's and Burger Kings of the world. This was something different. I love chicken. I love the whole concept of picking up a meal. Hopefully they'll come back.
Good. Okay, good. Well, why don't we do this now? We'll take a quick break, and we'll bring Chris in, and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Okay, you've got my attention.
It's a rare event in the world of franchising when an opportunity comes your way that can and will thrive in almost any economic environment. It's here, and its name is Big Mouth Advertising.
Big Mouth.
BMA is a leader in the exciting world of mobile media advertising. Why is mobile media advertising able to defy the economic cycles? The answer is obvious. In times of economic weakness, advertising is crucial for survival as the consumer dollar is scarce and the competition fierce. What is mobile media? It's the newest and fastest growing segment in the advertising world. Mobile media brings the message directly to the consumer. Mobile media goes to the consumer in traffic, where he eats and where he plays. It quite simply cannot be turned off or thrown out. And when you join the Big Mouth team as a franchisee, you are joining the best. The Big Mouth advantage is simple and successful. We invest in a strong infrastructure and in great people. As a franchisee, you have access to this entire system, including telemarketing, sales maximization, general and administrative support, design and creative services, even billing and collection services. All you need is a mobile media vehicle, a driver, and the willingness to create a financially sound and limitless business for yourself. There are no long-term leases to sign, no expensive build-outs, no office personnel to hire. You will be part of the Big Mouth advertising community and share its entire website and reception services, as well as its complete back-office services. This virtual office guarantees you the freedom to close those sales that will make you a success. We are so proud of our successes that we have voluntarily disclosed our revenue statements. Now, how many other franchises are doing that? Even in these historically rough financial times, Big Mouth Advertising has become a dominant force in the mobile media industry. Join the Big Mouth team and take the first step toward financial freedom. Please call Ron at 888-98-GO-BIG. That's 888-98-GO-BIG. Big Mouth! Need a business loan? Talk to Diamond Financial Services, the experts in franchise financing nationwide. Whether you're looking to start a franchise, acquire an existing franchise, or expand your territory through opening new locations, Diamond Financial stands by your side start to finish. From pre-qualification to packaging and presenting your application to securing a financial commitment and through the loan closing process, Diamond Financial is there. While you're waiting, thousands of others are making their financial dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Pre-qualify now by completing a confidential, no-obligation financial analysis. Let's face it, traditional banks just aren't in the business of financing small business. At Diamond Financial, we specialize in securing franchise loans from $100,000 to $3 million and equipment leasing up to $150,000. Let us help you get started. Go to www.franchisefunding.net or call 877-508-2274. That's franchisefunding.net, 877-508-2274.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the entrepreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. And as we were saying earlier, Don, we got a great show today. We're meeting with Chris Tomaso, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for First Watch Franchise Opportunity. And they started simply as a fresh idea. First Watch was founded in 1983 in Pacific Grove, California, on the simple concept of putting customers first. And listen to this. They begin each day at the crack of dawn slicing fresh fruits, vegetables, baking muffins, and getting their French toast batter ready. So get ready to get hungry, Don. Hey, Chris. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Good morning to you, too.
Thanks, Chris. Chris, joining us is my co-host, Don Johnson, and I know, Don, you wanted to say good morning to Chris.
Yeah, Chris, thanks for coming on. Marty kind of stole my thunder. I was going to tell you to try not to make us too hungry on this show.
We'll keep it to a minimum.
Yeah. Absolutely. Chris, I always like to ask our guests, where are you calling from this morning?
I'm calling from sunny Bradenton, Florida, which is just a couple hours, or about an hour south of Tampa on the Gulf Coast of Florida.
Oh, good. Nice, pretty. And Chris, what were you doing before joining First Watch?
I was the head of marketing for another restaurant company that had about 500 restaurant locations, about $2.5 billion in sales, and breakfast, lunch, and dinner concept.
Oh, that's great.
This must have been pretty exciting for you to come to a business that you can really build up, having that much experience in the food industry. Is that part of your motivation to get involved with First Watch, Chris?
Yeah, you know what? I actually grew up in this area and was a fan of First Watch when I was growing up, and my career took an unexpected turn and got me in the restaurant industry years ago. And at one point, I was the vice president of worldwide marketing for Hard Rock Cafe International in Orlando, and then I went on to Cracker Barrel for 3 years, and then really kept my eye on First Watch. It started to really get a lot of attention, and I could tell they were starting to be on a good growth pattern, and just fortuitously somebody connected me with Ken Pendry, one of the co-founders of the concept, and we hit it off. And I've been here about 3.5 years, and a lot of exciting things have happened in the last 5 years for this concept, and I'm really excited to be here.
Yes, maybe talk about that a little bit, Chris. I was going to ask you about the history of the company and when you started franchising.
Yeah, you know what? The concept actually started in California, in Pacific Grove, California, in 1983. Although we don't have any restaurants in California anymore. Quickly after it started, within 3 years, Ken Pendry, who again was one of the co-founders, he moved to Sarasota, Florida, here, and decided to open some restaurants here. And his brother moved to Cincinnati and started to open some there. So we kind of had two congruent markets growing, and we kept the restaurants in California, but continued to grow out from Florida and Ohio, and kind of went, met in the middle up and down the East Coast. We're in, St. Louis and Kansas City, and just a couple years ago we entered the D.C. market, Maryland, Virginia. But about 5 years ago now, we had a private equity firm invest in us and give us some capital to grow. it was on the heels of us winning a Consumer Reports award recognition, and at that time we were about 40 locations. So for us to win some national recognition like that, we started to get some attention, and we ramped up our growth in 06, 07, even last year, and we've in essence doubled the size of the company in the last 5 years.
Wow, some nice growth. And
so it's a strong endorsement too. I was going to say, Chris, from Consumer Reports, that always helps a lot,
Yeah, and we were fortunate to win that same recognition this year. So
that's fantastic.
Great for us.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So tell us how, first, why the First Watch name, and why is it interesting? What are some of the specifics on why the restaurant franchises are having nice success?
Well, we're a pretty unique concept in that we are only open from 7 in the morning until 2:30 in the afternoon, every day except Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day. So 7.5 hours a day, one shift a day, really. Our entire menu is available the whole time we're open: breakfast, brunch, and lunch. Our average check is a little bit over $8. It's very reasonable. It's a full-service dining experience. We've got traditional breakfast favorites like pancakes, eggs, waffles, omelets, those type of things, and then we have some really unique specialty items that we've created that we've become known for. And then we have a very robust lunch menu, salads, soups, sandwiches, things like that, and we really have three day parts in 7.5 hours a day. We've got early morning breakfast, we've got midday brunch, and we have the lunch business. And on weekends, it's we're running those all day long, and it's pretty unique. So there's not a lot of concepts that are only open 7.5 hours a day, and
that's true.
The employees are home by 4 or 5 o'clock every day.
Yeah, so it provides a lifestyle for your franchisees too, Chris. I always say franchising is really like a means to an end. So for that person who wants to, be home for dinner with their family, or help the kids do their homework and things like that. I think it provides that lifestyle.
Yeah, that's a good point, Marty. A lot of food, with food franchising, sometimes that's the negative to it, is that you're really putting in a lot of hours because,
right.
Chris said, when you have a restaurant, most are, are open full time. But with this,
it is your life. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I like the hours.
So do we. If you work backwards, you're talking about some 24-hour restaurants, and then even ones that, let's say, close at 10 or 11, you're still not out of there sometimes if you're the manager till, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And the great thing about our concept is we don't serve alcohol, so there's a whole bunch of other issues that go with serving alcohol.
Right.
But, it really is a good quality of life. We've been able to attract and retain some of the best and brightest in the industry. They make, same money as if they were running one of those other restaurants and killing themselves with those hours. And you know what? They're happier when they come to work. They've got a life, and we really stress balance in your life because we think it plays overall into the customer experience ultimately.
Must have great food and a great menu for someone to be able to do that type of volume and profit, within that time frame.
Yeah, our average unit volume is right around $1.2 million. And again, that's with no alcohol and on 7.5 hours a day. So we do some incredible, covers, and covers is a restaurant term for customers. But and weekends are huge. We're typically on a wait on the weekends, and it's just a great a great place for families to get together on the weekends and have a nice meal that won't break their bank, which is especially important in this economy right now.
Well, my next question was, can you describe the First Watch franchise system? I think you did a good job of just doing that. When you're speaking to a new franchisee or investor, pretty much that's what you tell them, what you just went over, Chris.
Well, here's what's been great. We actually, you mentioned early in the call that, when did we start franchising? We have a franchise group right now, I should say a group of franchisees who started as employees of ours, managers or regional managers who, they just love the concept and wanted to own it themselves. And in most situations, they were moving somewhere either because of personal reasons or whatever, where there wasn't a First Watch, and we call it our Friends of First Watch franchise system, where we started out just by offering it internally. And in the last 9 months, we decided after 26 years that we've been around to really offer franchises in earnest to folks outside the company. And people would say it's probably the worst time to offer franchises with the economy the way it is, and for us to enter the marketplace. But we have been pleasantly surprised. Over the years, we've gotten, I can't tell you how many calls from people asking if we would franchise, and we just, Ken, our founder, just wasn't ready to do it yet. He really felt like he wanted to test the concept in multiple markets and enter new markets and really get it fine-tuned so that by the time we did offer franchises, we felt very good about the model, and I can say we do, and we've had some great conversations with people.
Yeah, and I respect that, too, that Ken waited, too, Chris, because I think there's a lot of other companies out there that would have said, you know what, people are asking, let's get into this now, and as you said, it's not really fine-tuned yet, so I think it's great that he waited.
Well, and I like, too, Chris, that there's also, like, of course, in the restaurant business, a lot of turnover. I like how sometimes some of your employees starting out could become a manager and then a regional manager with maybe ultimate goal of being a franchisee themselves. So that's pretty interesting what you have going on. A lot of them are turning into franchisees. Is there a special program in place for that? Or maybe a specific program to convert those to franchisees?
There's, I wouldn't say a specific program, but it certainly has been communicated to them. Again, we haven't been doing this too long, but meaning the franchise part. But they certainly know about the opportunity.
Right.
We're retaining the markets where we are for continued company growth. Understand that for the first 20 years of the life of the concept, we grew very, very slowly, and I really liked the way Ken did it. Was he wouldn't open a new restaurant until we had the staff and the management opportunities first. So it wasn't ever a pull situation. It was always a push where we were ready. We had some managers who had gone through the system and earned their stripes, and we basically would give them a restaurant. And some of them took it to the next level and became franchisees, which is great.
Right, definitely.
That's great. You said something interesting earlier, too, Chris. So I was thinking about the importance of, not serving alcohol. I guess that you guys attract a certain type of customer. Who are your customers? Are they families and working people? How would you describe them?
One of the things that makes my job so great is that we do have such a broad appeal, and by day part and by meal part, I get to talk to and attract different segments. So if you really break it down, the way we break it down is there's weekday breakfast, weekday lunch, and then basically weekends, because weekends become just an amalgamation of all of that. It's people coming from church, people go on their way to football games before they go tailgate. I mean, it's a whole mix of things. So during the week, we've got the business folks coming in for what's now being termed the power breakfast, which is they have their meetings at a restaurant like ours in the morning before their day gets away from them. Sometimes it's so hard to get out for a lunch meeting that they say, you know what, let's meet at First Watch for breakfast. We have free Wi-Fi in all of our restaurants. We have a lot of meetings that take place in there, and then they go to work, and it's just easier. And then we have the retirees, stay-at-home moms, folks who are home from the 9 to 12 o'clock range who come in for a late breakfast, and then we have the typical weekday lunch business, which is business lunches and residential, and then like I just described, weekends. So that's kind of how we focus our business, and our menu mix is such that you can look at our menu mix and see who's coming when just by what's being ordered.
That's interesting. Here's a tough question, Chris. What's your favorite meal at the restaurant? Do you have a favorite?
I do. It's a little boring, but I love egg whites with turkey and spinach and Swiss cheese in it with some toast. But we've got some incredible items here that every once in a while I'll sneak it into my rotation. Our pancakes are pancakes are bigger than my head. I mean they're
incredible.
They take up the whole plate, and they're wonderful, and we get a lot of compliments on those.
That's fantastic. You mentioned something, Chris. How has technology played a role in your business? That's a new question we've been asking on our show recently, and we get some interesting responses.
Well, I mean, I won't bore anybody with all the back-of-house technology that we rely on, but we certainly do for to understand our transaction data and all those type of things.
Right.
But on a much more interesting side, with the growing popularity of social media, we've embraced that. We use a lot of technology for our real estate site selection, modeling and criteria and mapping, our demographic profiling. We use technology quite a bit. I couldn't imagine not having it at my fingertips every day.
You did. You wonder how they did it years ago. If you go back 20, 30 years ago, how these guys actually did it when they started back in 1983. It's amazing how technology has had such a big impact on your business.
I mean, every night at 9 o'clock, I get our entire company's sales broken down by restaurant on my iPhone, so I can be anywhere and see that day's sales before I go to bed that night.
That's incredible. And even adding the Wi-Fi access to your stores now too, Chris. I think that has a very positive impact. I think that's important for a lot of people as well.
It is. There's been Wi-Fi's gone back and forth with do you charge for it? Is it free? And we're one of those concepts that we don't. We like to provide some things as nice added values to the customer. We don't charge for egg whites. We don't charge for plate sharing. We don't add an automatic gratuity no matter how big your party is. Free Wi-Fi, free newspapers for you to read while you're here. Whereas most places will sell you a newspaper, we just give you one. So, it fits well into our overall brand messaging.
Absolutely. Are there any numbers on the industry, Chris? I mean, I know this is a pretty big industry, but do you have any hard numbers?
Oh yeah, I mean, the restaurant industry, 2009 is over $500 billion industry. Yeah. There's about 950,000 restaurant locations, if you can believe that.
Wow.
And it employs about 13 million people. And the breakfast category alone, it's the fastest growing major day part in the dining industry right now.
Yeah.
And breakfast specifically makes up 10% of that $500 billion. So it's we see it as an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, it does seem like people are eating more out today, for breakfast, than ever before, and I guess that's just because our lives have just become so busy, it's like who wants to cook breakfast in the morning,
Yeah, and you know what? It's one of those things where it's a little bit of an indulgent meal, and I think what we're seeing is, for all the casual diners that are really struggling and are seeing down traffic and down sales, we're seeing more people maybe trading that for a family breakfast or brunch together. And we think, not only for our business, but just for society in general, we think that's great because we think it's a great way to start your day as a family.
Absolutely. Chris, we have to take a quick break. Are you able to stick around for another segment?
Yeah, I would love to.
That's fantastic. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchise Interviews. For over 2 years now, Franchise Interviews has been giving you an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys.
And our free franchise newsletter, which is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise.
And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919. Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the entrepreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you've ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. Today, we're meeting with Chris Damaso, Chief Marketing Officer for the First Watch franchise opportunity. And Don, I think you're up.
Yeah, Chris, obviously you've had a lot of nice experience so far with First Watch. I just wanted to ask you what was the most interesting thing that's happened to you so far since you've been with the company? Making you think a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It's a little early, but that's all right. You know, right when I got here, I got here in 2006, and it was not very long after the equity firm had invested the capital in the business, and they went through a very extensive brand study with a lot of research and focus groups and new logo and a new prototype look and all those things. So one of the first things I needed to do when I got here was to implement that and fine-tune it first and then implement it and bring it to life. So all of that work was done to set the foundation for franchising. We wanted to make sure that our physical plant was in such a way that it was easy and understandable for franchisees to build and was very as cost-effective as possible. And really, it was a refreshing of the brand. It was a it was a modernization of the prototype and everything. So implementing that was a big thing, not only internally but externally as well. And we've been going back now and retroing some of our older restaurants since we've been around so long to bring them up to the very bright, current, modern prototype that we have. So that's been an interesting challenge.
What types of characteristics do you look for in a franchisee now? Anything you and Ken and the team really want to see out of your franchisees? I mean, we know that some of them are coming internally. Is there anything else?
Yeah, we're actually pretty specific in what we're looking for. We are looking for franchisees who are experienced multi-unit restaurant operators. We're somewhat different in that we're not offering single restaurant franchise opportunities. We're looking for somebody who will build a territory of a minimum of 3 restaurants, and previous experience in full service dining is a plus. They obviously need to be well capitalized, and they need to have a strong operating partner because we are a cooking restaurant. We're not a put stuff together kind of sandwich shop or things like that. We actually do cook in the back and make things fresh, and that's part of our hallmark. So our franchise partners, at least one of the partners in as a franchisee, needs to have an operational background and will be actually in the restaurants working.
What about location, Chris? I mean, you guys look for an ideal location for your franchisees. How does that work?
Are you talking markets or site-specific?
It's site-specific. Like, where does this type of restaurant work best?
Yeah. The majority of our restaurants are in-line in shopping centers or lifestyle centers. We love to be next to a daily needs grocery store with a lot of traffic in the center. We love to be the end cap with a lot of windows. Since we're open only during the day, we love to let a lot of natural light in and those type of things. But and then we've got a whole set of criteria that we look for where we've targeted our demographic and know the type of customer we're looking for. And it's a it's a balance because we look for daytime employment population. Going back to what I mentioned earlier about that people in the morning either on their way to work or almost to work will have meetings, and then we're looking for a good mix of residential around the site too. So we've got a pretty in-depth site selection criteria that we look through, not to mention visibility, access, signage, parking, all those things. But we pretty much know where we need to be successful.
Right. What's the training like, Chris, as far as how does that work for your new franchisees?
We have a 10-week training program, and it's actually the same training program that our company-owned managers go through. And really, it's a start to finish, everything from the history of the brand all the way through, running the business, training, staffing, everything. So it's pretty in depth. We've been using it for many, many years, and I think, again, going back to what we were talking about, we've been around for 25 years, almost 26 now. So we don't need to create new things. We really just need to communicate them and express the importance of them. I always find it interesting. Unfortunately, one of the black eyes, as you guys know, in franchising is sometimes somebody will open one restaurant, one business, and then all of a sudden they have 50 franchises and they never really got their systems and their procedures down. And I think we're the opposite of that. We've been doing it so long, we really feel like we don't need to come up with anything new.
That's great. What's a typical day? Yeah, what's a typical day like, if there is such a thing, Chris, for your franchisees?
Yeah, as soon as we have a typical day, I'll let you know. But you know what? There really isn't a typical day. I mean, there's the normal blocking and tackling that you do every day, but I think that's part of the fun of the business. We encourage our managers, if there's somebody waiting at your door at 6:45, open the door, let them in. There's nothing in our system that keeps us from serving them as soon as we're ready. We get in there early and we're cutting the fruit and making the batter and things are ready, brewing the coffee, make sure it's fresh. But you know what? A typical day is taking care of the customer at the front door and making sure their experience is great, putting out great fresh food with some healthy alternatives. And again, our turnover is low, and our people enjoy coming to work, and it's really just maintain that status quo in the restaurants.
That's great.
What advice, Chris, would you give to an aspiring entrepreneur looking to buy a franchise? You've been in the business a while and had quite a background with the different companies you're with. What advice would you recommend?
Well, I would say that I don't think you can do too much research.
Right.
Really look into what's your passion. What do you want to do? There's a lot of franchise opportunities out there that might look good on the surface, but you really need to do your homework. Talk to as many people as you can, and don't take any shortcuts. And the more you can know about the financial opportunity, if there's an earnings disclosure, that's always a good sign. We happen to have one. We're proud of the sales we do, and we're more than happy to share that. And just go in there eyes wide open. As you mentioned earlier on your show that I was listening to, the failure rate is against you. So you got to do everything you can to not be one of those statistics.
True.
Right. Great advice. Yeah.
And what are your plans for the future, Chris? I mean, how big would you guys like to get, or as far as like growth rate and things like that?
You know what? We it's going to sound funny, but even from the start, we never set out a quantity goal. Mm-hmm. We want to grow quality growth, and whatever that means, we don't know what that means. If that means 10 a year, then that's fine. If that means 50 a year, that's fine. I know we want to make sure that we can do it in such a way that we nothing gets diluted, no matter how far down the chain it is and how far away from our corporate office it is. We want it to be pure, and we want the customer to not know the difference between a franchise and a company-owned location. And again, because our business model is built on a solid base of almost 80 company-owned restaurants, franchising is a nice way to grow, but it's not we're going to go out of business if we're not able to sell franchises. So
Right.
we've set our criteria very high. We're being very selective, and we're really focusing on quality.
Yeah, and I have to say, I mean, I think it's great that you haven't set a number, you know, because, I mean, you know, a lot of times, I mean, Don and I will hear, you know, like a franchise will say, well, you know, we plan on selling 500 franchises this year. I think that sometimes sets pressure on the franchise, you know what I mean, and sometimes that you end up picking up some bad franchisees that way, you know, because you got to hit that magic number of 500, you know, and so I respect that, you know, that you guys haven't set a specific number. You know?
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
Chris. Most people, like Marty said, do always thinking big. I like,
Right.
you know, you guys, of course, are thinking big, but I love your short and long-term strategy and not dependent just on franchisees. I really think you guys are doing this whole thing right, and that's why you're having a lot of success.
Well, I appreciate that, and I think we're probably growing slower than we could if we took a different approach, but we're okay with that, and you know, it helps us not get stuck in making concessions for the franchisee, for site
Right.
locations, for anything, because we just want to do it right.
And I think the franchisee will feel more confident, especially when there's corporate stores being built out, too. I think that just will be a big selling point to them.
Yeah, it has been in our discussion so far. I mean, I think they like the comfort factor of knowing that we've got skin in the same game they do, that if we do something that doesn't work for them, it's not going to work for us either. So they know that we absolutely have their best interests at heart because we have the same interests.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a relationship.
So ever since you mentioned those large plate-sized pancakes, that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah, sorry, I promised you I wouldn't talk about food too much.
We're both starving. Yeah. Chris, what's the best way for our listeners to get more information on becoming a First Watch franchisee?
Oh, absolutely. Our website, firstwatch.com. There's a franchising section, but I invite you to look around the website and find out about the concept, and then the franchise section has all the information you need to know.
Okay, great. It's a great website. I want to thank you again, Chris. You've been a fantastic guest, and I'd love to have you guys back in the near future as you guys continue
Anytime.
to grow.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much,
Chris. Great job. Take care.
Okay, thanks.
Great
Bye-bye.
show, huh, Don?
Yeah, you know, interesting.
Interesting concept. You know, he's done a lot of great things, you know, and
Right.
Great endorsement, you know, getting that Consumer Reports. Anytime, you know, they endorse you, you know, because it's not paid, you know, I think that says a lot, you know, about the company, you know. So,
Right, and
just like,
I
I like
think this
their
day and age, I was just going to say, Marty, this day and age, you know, to make ends meet, for restaurants to be successful, they really have to be open, you know, possibly 7 days and offer all meals. But they have a nice little niche and, you know, having a lot of success. It's interesting, you know.
They sure do, you know, so you did a fantastic job. So, good job, Don. And again, for our listeners, go to franchiseinterviews.com, go franchise.com, franchisefunding.net, and I'll be talking to you next week, Don.
Have a great day. Thanks,
You
Marty.
too. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Take care.